Hello, welcome to Quackalope. Thank you for being here. Today, I'm going to break down 10 games that are on my Grail list. Games that I really wish I currently owned. That probably won't leave the collection once I get my hands on them, and that I don't currently have because they're either too expensive, hard to get, some combination of the two, or I recently played them and I haven't had the time to go searching for them or seeking them out yet. Now, these 10 games are all games that I've played over the course of the last year or so. I keep a little list here on my phone where, as I play games, if it's something that I really like, that I think I want to add to my permanent collection, I jot it down on a little notepad and add it up. And since we've crossed that mark of having over 10, I figured it was time to make a list. So, if you, your friends, family, or attic currently have any of these games that you don't love, send me an email? I think that's what this video is all about, right? No. Either way, let's talk about 10 games that I will one day end up owning. Starting off with number 1, A Few Acres of Snow, a game that Board Game Co. actually got rid of because he played it too many times and didn't find it interesting to play with people anymore. This is a head-to-head, I believe a head-to-head two-player war-style game, war-esque game. It's fairly old. I know it was reviewed on Dice Tower maybe 5 or 6 years ago, and there's 2 reasons why I love it. I really, really want this game. I love the name. The name, the style, the imagination in that phrase, A Few Acres of Snow. It depicts a war, a conflict, I believe, between European forces over here in the Americas as they're trying to settle and move across the continent. But it also has really interesting deck building and hand management when it comes to kind of the tactics on the table. I love deck building games, so that puts it high on my list. I want a solid 2-player with Sheer, so that puts it high on my list. The name sounds incredible, and a lot of people absolutely love it. So I've seen it on a few other people's Grail lists. In fact, it added to mine because it was on a few other people's Grail lists, and I did some research and decided probably about 2 years ago that I wanted to get my hands on a copy of this, and I have yet to try it, play it, or find a copy to pick up. So sooner or later, we will do it. Moving down, a game I just recently played with Board Game Co. This is going to be Glass Road. Glass Road is a tile-laying game, but it's so... What did I like about it? You're going through your cards, you're going through your hands and selecting various actions that you're going to play. Those actions then allow you to draft tiles, which are going to be placed down onto your board in front of you. And it was such a cool, unique twist on that. It's actually a mechanic that I'd like to see utilized more. There was a top and bottom action, and as I played a whole handful of cards, selected what I wanted to utilize, Alex had to do the same. But our deck, or our hand of cards that we had, was massive. So at the start of every round, I might not have the same cards as him. But I also might. And there was consequences and benefits and a little bit of push your luck on some of it, because you're trying to weed out what the other player might have versus what you're playing, if they're even competing in the same realm, what type of resources you want to generate, whether or not you can complete your action if they do play the same card as you, etc., and so on and so forth. I loved the Glass Road, and I should have a copy on the way, I hope. I really, really enjoyed it. It's been one of the games that left me wanting to immediately play it again. Next is going to be Roads and Boats. Roads and Boats is going to be a spotter game. Need I say more for why I would like it? Bus being my number 1 of all time currently, with the exclusion of Kingdom Death. Food Chain Magnate being a game that blew my mind when I started playing it, that I really need to sit down and beat Alex again at. I want to play all the spotter games. Now, Roads and Boats is obnoxious. It is large. I saw it for the first time 1.5 years or 2 years ago when a friend had it layered on top of his Kallax shelf. Alex has a copy that I'm going to be able to try very soon, but honestly, I sort of want to start working my way through all of the spotter collection because they haven't steered me wrong yet. Roads and Boats is going to be I believe, tile placement or sort of route building and resource management game, which is already on my list, and one of my heavier gaming groups absolutely loves it. And again, so far, they have not steered me wrong. We played our first 18xx, we played Age of Steam, we played Container, which is a good time to drop down to the next one on my list, Container. A game where the group determines the economy. You're producing goods that then get bought by other players, that get placed in their harbor, that then get picked up by other ships, that get delivered to an island, all in a cacophony to score a collection of points. Container is hard to find. The best version of it has these big, heavy deluxe ships, and it is remarkable. Now, do I actually think I'll get the game to the table often with a group of friends? I don't know. You need the perfect group. I think it only plays at 5 because that's the only way that the economy is truly balanced, and even then, you have to have a group that understands the nature of the game, that's willing to work around the economy and facilitate this market that you're all driving. Everyone trying to squeeze out the most profit for themselves. Container was lovely, and I cannot wait to play again. The next one on my list, Zombicide, but specifically, I think, Black Plague. So far, I am actually starting to really dig the Zombicide games. My first few experiences were less than good because I played within context that it really isn't the best experience. But now with Black Plague, understanding the theme, the options I have, I'm really, really excited. And I think I want to own at least one collection. Now, Black Plague is near impossible to get my hands on, but we're split between it and Invader at the moment. Either way, currently we don't have a dedicated Zombicide game, and Sheer and I are looking to add one. We think it's going to be that. Crokinole. I really need to get a deluxified, high-end, quality Crokinole board. Crokinole. Either way, it is a dexterity game where you're flicking chits into the middle of this ring, doing your very best to position yourself as close to the center as possible, or ding-dong in the middle of the center. It is fun, it is chaotic, it is great at 2, really solid at 4. I just really enjoy it. And I don't currently have a high-quality Crokinole board, so it's on my radar. It's on my list of something to acquire, one of those that you'd hang on the wall as a display piece and then bring down and play with. Now, why do I want it? Well, when I grew up with my grandparents, we actually had the 4 goalpost games where you'd flick discs across, and these were not balanced or smoothed or oiled at all, but we'd flick discs across this arena, smashing into each other and hitting the different nets. And Crokinole is the best version of that style of game I have played. I think it is absolutely a charm, and it is often one that I'm willing to pull off the table or pull off the wall and set on the table with almost any game group that's looking for a short, quick, dexterity-based game. Next, Deluxe Orleans. I really, really, really love Orleans. And my friend has a deluxified copy of it, which you cannot get your hands on anymore. And Tasty Minstrel Games just went out of business when it comes to actually publishing and producing board games. And yet, alas, still, not a single copy of Deluxe Orleans was available anywhere. And the only one I could find was on BGG for $250. And I tried some negotiating and bargaining and haggling, but so far we haven't made a deal. I thought it would be neat to do a brand new first-time unboxing, but I don't know that I could justify the cost in order to do that, so we'll see if we're able to squeeze the price at all. This game is remarkable. It is a lot of fun, and all I'm looking for is the deluxified version of it with wooden pieces that actually drop into your bag. It's a bag-building Euro-style game where you're building your bag full of workers, drawing those workers out, and placing them in appropriate places on your board or on the main map to take a variety of different actions. It is really, really solid. Such an incredible game. And with any bag-building game, deluxified components, I find, enhance the quality of the game experience substantially, because you're not dealing with folding cardboard pieces that get stuck or tucked in the corner of the bags. It's just like Quacks of Quedlinburg. If you don't play with it deluxified, you're really, really lessening your experience. Moving down. A game that we unboxed on the channel that Jan has a copy of, but I don't, Cave Evil. I was really hoping to get a gameplay on the table. Now, why do I want it? It's one of those dark fantasy games that inspired the idea of tunnel digging and battlements fighting against each other. I have no idea if the game is good. It certainly has a cult following, and I would still love to own a copy of it. Now, will it stay in the collection forever? I don't know. It would need to be also a good game in order for it to earn that right, but I do want one. As a fan of Kingdom Death, as a fan of all these weird indie Necro-style games, this one fits right into that package, and the amount of care and patience and love given to every single piece and component of the game, especially the artwork, makes it one that I think would just be a cool piece to have. Moving down, a game that I don't own, and I'm not sure why I don't own it yet. Obsession has been on the list for a year maybe at this point. It's just a lovely, and it's more popular now than it was when I first played it, but it is a lovely game made by, I believe, a single designer who built this world of European majesty. You're basically playing in, I'm trying to think, it's not Anne of Green Gables, I completely blanked on what series it is. I watched most of it as well. How embarrassing. Either way, if you want to play in the society of Europe, building your own home, establishing the cooks and the maids and the different rooms there you can host and throw balls and parties and be part of high society, Obsession is right there for you. I know a lot of people who loved the game, and I myself thought it was a really excellent experience. And so I still need to get myself a copy of the core game, and I think there's an expansion. I'm not sure. Not 100% sure about that. Either way, it's here on the list as one that I just have marked down that I need to add. Next, Dominant Species. Dominant Species is going to be a area control game from GMT Games. It is one that I think Shira is going to love. It's one we have scheduled to play in about a week, and it has been on my list for a while. It's the highest, I believe the highest GMT game, rated just right next to Space Empires, which is a game that I already own and adore. And yeah, I love the theme of it. I love the idea of having these different regions where you're establishing different traits in all of your creatures that you're playing, and they're able to be the dominant species, cue the name, for these different areas of land that you've built out. So you need to develop them so they could live well on land, in desert, and in the ocean. And if they can, then they control that space, right? It's a very, very interesting tactical puzzle. I haven't played it yet. It is high on the list. I think I'm going to absolutely adore it. I think Shira's going to love it as well. And then finally, a dexterity game that I played for the first time last night that got added to this list, pushed it over the edge. And if you own this game and you don't send me an email, I'm going to be so frustrated, because the danger with making this list is I'm letting people know games that I would really like, which is good and might elicit me finding some of these games, but also means I'm running the risk of these games being less available than they already are, which is a real big problem for me, especially when it comes to this one. This is going to be called Hamster Roll. It is a dexterity game where you're balancing various pieces up on this circle ball with different levels in it, and it's going to slowly roll. It's like a leaning tower of Jenga, except with pieces that you're placing. So you're placing these pieces in, changing the weight and the balance, and pieces start moving up as other pieces go down, and then they tumble off and they get added to your collection. You're trying to get rid of all of your pieces before your opponents. It was a blast, and I think it's such an excellent game to bring out, introduce new people to, and show off. So, there we have it. There's my current Grail games list. These are the games that I want to add to my permanent collection that I don't own yet. So, yeah, that's a list. Hopefully you've enjoyed this. Let me know. Do you want me to continue marking down games that I'd really love to have and let you know about them as we either start discovering them, start adding them to the collection, or resign that I will never own any of them? Whatever the case, whatever you do, remember to do the important thing. Get out and play some games. We'll see you next time. Thank you.